Well, have you ever thought about becoming a member of the grand jury, or do you even know what they do? Well, a couple guests here right now are going to tell you what it's all about and how you can apply for it. So I'd like to welcome today from the Superior Court here in Orange County, Judge Karen Robinson, and also a member of the grand jury, Chris Beard. So welcome to both of you here today.
Well, thank you.
It's always good to have folks on from the grand jury so people can find out first what it's all about, and then if they are interested in it, how to become a member. So welcome. First, Your Honor, let's talk about the grand jury, because I think there are many people, you hear it all the time, you hear it in the news for various reasons, but people really don't know what they do.
So the grand jury is sort of the public's watchdog of local governmental agencies, the county, the city government, special districts such as the water district or the school districts. And what they do is they try to ensure accountability, that these are operating properly, efficiently, and in the public's interests. And their goal is to review them, make recommendations about how they might be improved to benefit the public.
Okay, so you often hear in the news where the grand jury is, and maybe, you know, I'm paraphrasing, is decided to indict this or this happened. And I'm wondering how that comes about. And is it only in, relates to people who are public figures, or can it relate to anyone? It
can relate to any subject matter of a criminal nature, and the district attorney's office has decided that it wants to use the grand jury to present the evidence to determine whether there's probable cause to believe a crime has been committed. And so they'll put that to the grand jury to conduct those proceedings. So that's a small part of what the grand jury does, but it is a very important part of what the grand jury does.
Okay. Chris, how did you get involved with it?
Well, I got involved because I saw the application to apply. I had heard of the grand jury from my experience. I had recently retired, and so I was looking for opportunity to be involved and volunteer in the community. And this happened to come up at the timing was such a year ago that I received the application. Actually, my son was at a serving jury duty, and he picked up this similar flyer here.
Which we'll tell you about these in just a moment, by the way.
And so he said, Dad, I think you may be interested in this. I certainly know you're qualified, after the gentleman explained what the grand jury did. And so based on my experience, my background, and my curiosity, my interest, I decided to apply.
So how do the cases come to you? And what do you do? How is it decided that this case is going to come to the grand jury, but this one is not? Do you folks look at all of them?
Well, as the judge explained, a portion of it is the criminal side of it for indictments. That's the process. We do the civil investigations. That's primarily our main emphasis, the bulk of our work. And so we don't look at cases. We look at topics and interests and things of that nature. So the grand jury, may receive a complaint letter from a citizen related to what the judge talked about, any of these anything issue going on in government, local government or special district. And so that would come before the grand jury. We also have a wide spectrum of people on the grand jury that are up on current events. We see what's going on in the community, and we take literally those issues in the news and bring them forward to get examined, to look at them and see how the grand jury, may investigate potential issues. Okay.
So, Your Honor, could that be, for instance, somebody is concerned for whatever reason how monies are being spent, or maybe the conduct of a public official or a special agency or something like that, and they can bring forth their concerns and then it's looked at?
Correct. That's exactly how that sometimes works. Issues are raised, they're presented to the grand jury. The grand jury then looks, evaluates, determines whether it's something they want to investigate further, and they can conduct that investigation. But they have some routine functions, and that is to make sure some of our local governmental agencies are working properly, like the detention centers and the jails and Orangewood and some of those local county services that we provide. They just do sort of a review of those to make sure that they are functioning properly, and make recommendations if they find there are some inefficiencies or something like that.
Okay, so Chris, you might look at, as the judge said, how they're operating, and maybe look at something like well, this seems a little like it could be improved on, or look at it another way, or how things are being reported, that sort of thing?
That's a good example, like what we would be looking at, efficiencies, operations, procedures, how they conduct themselves, how they're spending the money. The term often comes up, watchdog. We're citizen representatives looking at all these different levels of government. But I think the best reflection of what the grand jury does is we're required to produce reports on our findings with recommendations. And when we produce those, it lists all different categories. I think what really puts it into play is, like, that, well, most people don't know that local government affects them the most.
Right.
And then other levels, be it the jail system, the county's parks. There's all sorts of topics, parks, libraries, roads, public safety, that's a very big one. The judge mentioned the jails. We're required as a grand jury to produce a report to review the jails. But there are reports that come out, they're online, so, in all different topics. I think if I could just highlight two that really piqued my curiosity, and I think brought forward the issue of, like, the animal care shelter. We have a new animal care shelter. Irvine Lake was, I think, a product that helped the grand jury, and their report on it helped move those projects along to a beneficial degree for the citizens of the
Very interesting. So, Your Honor, do grand juries throughout the state operate the same way versus maybe other states, or are all grand juries kind of pretty much doing what Chris just explained?
No, I think they're unique to their particular counties and their county needs. And
All right.
we all are kind of set up with some different parameters. And they're determined by the county in which the grand jury sits. So they can be different from county to county. But for the most part, they are public agency watchdogs. They are the public's eyes and ears to make sure county government is working and city governments are working properly.
Okay, so Chris, you've been doing this since when?
Since August, early August.
And tell us about your experience just overall in the commitment and the time frame.
I'm glad you asked, because there is a commitment, there's a time frame. I had the time frame, the jurors have the availability. It's a 1-year commitment, starts July 1st. And with that, there's some compensation to it, $50 every day the grand jury's in session. And there's mileage involved. So there's some compensation, but the work is really the driving force of why you want to be a part of the grand jury. It's a diverse group of people. I've never worked with a finer group of people, very intelligent, very committed. And so it's really a joy to go into work and work on a common effort to improve our local community. There are people who are trying to make a difference. I think we are.
How many on the grand jury?
There are 19 sitting on the grand jury, but they select 30 altogether.
Okay.
With 11 alternates.
All right. Now, people are probably wondering, well, here we are in December. It starts up again the 1st of July. Why are you folks here at this time frame? But it takes a while, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's a recruitment process. We're looking for the best, brightest, and the most diverse folks that we can get that represent the county, the diversity of this county. And so we have the application process, which starts now. We're in that process, and applications currently are due by January 17th of 2020.
Okay.
So that's our initial deadline that we're hoping to have folks apply for. And then we have a mandatory meeting that they need to attend, just an orientation meeting to make sure they're interested and want to go forward, and that's on January 23rd. And then the committee of judges, and I'm on the grand jury recruitment committee, there are about 25 of us, will take all the applications that have been received, and there are hundreds of them typically, and we hope there will be hundreds again this year. And we vet them, review them, and narrow that down to about 90 that we want to bring back for interviews. And this is across all of our 5 supervisorial districts. And then we'll conduct those interviews, and it just takes a long, it's a long process. But it is to ensure that we have grand jurors like Mr. Chris who are dedicated to doing what the grand jury needs to do.
Yeah, quite involved, but obviously it should be.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's an important work.
So after all your process, when did you find out? How you started it in August, but did they let you know a couple of months ahead?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
They kept us informed along the way, and we seek, as an interested party, I wanted to find out what was going on, and they were very upfront and open, and the deadlines and the information was very public, and they were in constant communication. So that was good to know, because you have to make plans if you're going to do something that year.
Yeah,
you know what you
of
have
course.
to do, or if you can't do, or have to defer or delay. But it worked out.
Do you get vacation time? In other words, do you take off a couple weeks for the holidays?
We get the holidays off and
Okay.
everything like that.
And the grand jury does determine their schedule. I mean, anybody who's interested should probably plan on 30 hours a week.
Okay.
But the grand jury gets to set the hours, and they get to determine vacations and things like
Oh,
that
good.
amongst
Okay.
themselves.
So there's some
fluid and
flexibility.
flexible.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's not a full-time commitment, but a lot of us really get involved and we
Yeah.
spend a lot of time in it. And
But it is a commitment.
yeah, it is a commitment.
Right. And it also would mean that I would assume you have to go up to Santa Ana, right?
Correct. That's
Okay.
where.
Yeah, and here's one perk. There's parking available for them, and if you've been in the Civic Center area, you know that's quite a benefit.
Yes. Another benefit, there's a lot of good restaurants up there.
There
There
is.
really are. How did you get involved? I'd ask you outside if you were also a judge within Superior Court.
Yes.
So you do it all.
Yes, I'm a full-time judge and have a calendar, and we have different committees that we can be involved in, and this one was very important to me and one that I wanted to be involved in, just to ensure that we reach out to and include as many folks in our wonderful county to be a part of this process.
That's fantastic. Now, I'm going to tell people how they can get an application, because we're fortunate that they brought along a bunch of them for us. We will keep a few of them up here. There's a flyer, and then there's the bound application here, and you can find it online as well. We're going to keep them here, like I said, up in the studio. Maybe we'll have a dozen of them, but the bulk of them we'll have downstairs at the front desk. We'll put them down there later today, and you'll be able to pick them up. Of course, you can go to ocgrandjury.org to find out more information about all this. I think it's we've had people on over the years that have seated on the grand jury as well as other judges, and I always hear from them that it's just a very rewarding experience.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think most people that have the opportunity to serve, after they're finished, we see a lot of people reapply, not the immediate next term, but down the line, because they enjoyed it so much, and it's quite rewarding.
Yeah, I'm enjoying it now, the topics, what we investigate and everything, but I'm enjoying it as much working with the fellow people. We have a wide variety, wide spectrum of backgrounds and life experience with these people. It's just as much interesting, the topics we study and investigate, the people we work with. It's very rewarding and enriching.
Well, very good. Thank you both for coming on today. I really appreciate it. And again, we'll have these applications here. And if you want to go online, it's ocgrandjury.org to find out more information. And we'll be right back.